Okay, today's video, we're going to talk about demand gen versus display ads. What's the difference between demand gen and display ads, as well as which one of these is generally speaking more profitable for your business, okay? I'm going to give you several scenarios here of different types of businesses where we ran each, businesses where they both have worked versus one and versus the other. So you can kind of really understand for your business type, whatever niche you're in, which one of these you should be running most, or in general, both, or even neither, because it's just really not right for your type of business. Both of these have pros and cons to them, which is why they work for some businesses and not others, where you'll use both, either one or none, depending on what you're doing. Of which I'm going to go through in detail which one of these pros and cons are, and more so the pros and cons being just the differences between the two, and why one is actually better than the other, because they have substantial differences. So, demand gen ads, by the way, which demand gen ads are just a newer version of the discovery ads that Google has had for a few years now. Why they changed the name? Google changes the name on all their products all the time. Fundamentally, there are some key differences to the difference between the discovery and the demand gen ads. But for the most part, it's 90% the same, and the differences are really not that much different. They have lookalikes targeting now, which is cool. I'm glad they brought that back in some form or fashion. But for the most part, that's like the most significant difference. The other stuff doesn't really matter, or it's not significant enough to even bring up to you in a video like this. And then demand gen though ads, and like discovery ads, got you on Gmail as well as on YouTube, which are great places to advertise because Google has a really good source of traffic for you to advertise in front of, or people to advertise and get in front of. The display ads is on basically non-Google properties, but not only just that, just mostly. Because you can still advertise on YouTube with display ads. If you've seen, everybody's seen, on videos that you're watching on YouTube, you can have the video ads that pop up for you like they probably do on this video. Whether or not I like to earn from advertising or not, by the way, that Google's going to show them whether I get a cut or not. There's also a second ad placement towards the bottom of your screen as you're watching your screen. I'm just seeing, I'm watching myself here in the video. Basically, there'll be a banner ad that shows up in the lower part of your screen where you can advertise there via the Google Display Network or display ads, display ad campaign as well, which is another great place to advertise because of the quality of the traffic you're going to get, but it's mainly obviously about 99% about advertising on other websites that Google doesn't control and let you advertise on because they provide a middleman, or they are a middleman between you and the person who owns that website that wants to be able to sell ads on that website. You put a pixel code on your website as a website owner, and then Google dumps ads on those websites for you and gives you a cut of every click and every advertiser that wants to advertise there, of which you're getting on there through these display campaigns. So anyway, with these two different types of campaigns here, now that I've kind of went over the basics behind them, the display ads themselves, okay, you run outside of Google's properties mostly exclusively, if we're not talking about that individual bottom of the frame YouTube ad placement itself. And the biggest difference between display campaigns and running those and the demand gen campaigns is the display ads are wrought with fraud, like completely wrought with fraud, of which, you know, and it doesn't even have to be sketchy websites. There are certain websites that people literally legitimately just set up that have no real traffic on it. I don't know why Google doesn't have a manual reviewer reviewing the traffic on these websites. I really just think they don't give a shit and they want to make as much money as possible. No legit traffic goes to this website. They buy traffic, they go to the website, and then they get, they're both got their hands in the till. But on legit websites, you think, okay, well, I'll just advertise using my Google Display Network campaign on top tier websites like Forbes.com, stuff like that. That's also got tons of bot clicks on it as well. And I think it's because the media industry is dying, like in terms of traditional media. Nobody wants to go to Forbes.com and read articles there. I mean, there are some, but it's been on the decline for since the internet's come up. These, dinosaur agencies that that have had a stranglehold on the eyeballs for a long time. They brought their publications online, and then even the viewership is just shrinking all the time. And it's shrinking because the quality of the content gets less, because they can't sell the ad space for as much because they're not the only game in town now. And then to juice the numbers, they actually send fake traffic to their own websites. I know, because if you literally legitimately run a banner ad on a Forbes.com, your budget will be spent up like that, even if it's just on a single page. And the only way that could be true is if they had bot clicks going to that website. So ran some tests. I realized that. I have realized that for a long time. So where the really good placements to advertise using display network campaigns is going to be on your obscure, smaller niche websites. So if you're selling, let's say, high-end audio equipment that's just made for audio engineers, stuff like that, getting on a audio engineer forum that's just for audio engineers, that's a perfect place to run a display network ad, assuming you run a display network ad, which the individual people that run these websites now, though, have gotten smart enough to realize what value they have in the niche audiences they've collected. So they don't even let Google run ads on their websites anymore. You got to contact them directly for a direct banner ad buy on their websites. But if you could, those are the best websites to advertise on, because they're not pulling the shady shit with the fake traffic, and they legitimately have a loyal user base, if you will. It's why magazine ads worked so good back in the day, because there's a certain subscriber base that goes to that magazine, and it's a loyal viewer, and therefore it's the best person to get in front of, because you can advertise to them week after week and so on and so forth. So anyway, those are the best websites. And so with that, on Google Display Network, what we're doing a lot of nowadays is just targeting individual websites that we want to be on when we use it. Now, remarketing is a totally different story. I use display network campaigns to do remarketing, that is, advertise to people who've been to our website before, almost on every project I work on, because that in and itself isn't fraught with bot clicks, because bots aren't going to be filtered out just through the retargeting that we're doing. That is the nature of what it does, what retargeting is, remarketing is. But if you're going to go after new prospects, I'm specifically going to try to target people mostly with that have been to my competitors' websites, and even then it's still filled with a lot of bot clicks, if you will. But so with that, the best place to advertise is you narrow down as much as you can in terms of finding out who your buyer is, making sure they have 2 or 3 individual traits. A lot of which, though, included in that traits, is somebody who searched for our product or service on Google in the recent past with a custom combined audience that you set up. But then, even then, if you really want to be successful with it, advertising on certain websites that you know are quality. So if your website, you can either just go all in on a specific website and just show up for everybody on that website, or you can show up on that website and then filter them down. I only want somebody 35 plus who also is a, let's say a real estate investor or what have you. And then you just run ads on certain websites for people that have certain traits. That's really the sweet spot and the bread and butter with Google Display Network nowadays, because of all the bot clicks outside of remarketing. So specific sites and then audiences to go along with it is usually what works the best with it outside of remarketing. Remarketing is always going to work. You always should do that. even though most of your competition won't be doing remarketing on Google Display Network because they're not going to see people clicking through the ad and buying, so they think it's useless. If that were true, every single person who runs a billboard in the whole world is a complete fucking moron, and they're wasting their money. And the reality is, you get in front of your buyer that you know is your buyer before they buy, so that when they do go to buy, you get a majority of the business because you're a brand. Not to say that billboard advertising is good. I'm not ultimately saying that, but the value of it isn't zero. You use remarketing to close the sale with somebody that you know is in market already, and they'll buy at a higher rate from you just because they saw the banner ad, even if they didn't click through it. They just saw it, and then the next week when they go to buy, now they're more likely to buy from you versus that competitor, which is why you do it. And when it costs like a 0.25 cents to have a banner ad like that show up for somebody that you paid $3 or $30 to get to your website in the first place, you're throwing your half the value of the traffic and the money you spent to get the traffic to your site in the first place away. And there's only so much people in your market to go after. So if you're not going to remarket to them, you're throwing away half the opportunities. So anyway, you got to be careful with the fraud, and then you got to really know what you're doing in terms of drilling down who and what you're targeting with display ads. Then furthermore, you're going to get a lower ROI with display ads typically than demand gen ads, but it could still work because of all the bots for the most part, okay? But you just got to understand that you can't be a newbie and just target a certain audience and you're done. Like, not only do you have to know how to target the way that I told you about, which is the basic premise of what you need to know, you also got to have a hook for your ad. Just go in there and say, hey, I sell curtains, come buy them. That it ain't gonna work with display network ads. You gotta figure out an offer, a hook that's gonna get people to buy. An example for the curtains would be, we're offering 30% off any curtain purchase inside the next 30 days for Valentine's Day that's coming up. Use code XYZ Valentine's 30 to get the curtain, to take part in this offer. And, that's a lazy approach of having an offer that would appeal to an audience that you want to sell to, that is discounting your stuff, but it would be a hell of a lot better than just saying you sell curtains. And then when you compare that with somebody that is in market for curtains, they've been to one of your competitors' websites that just sell curtains, now you've got something that can potentially work. So as compared to the typical person's approach to running these display ads, you're going to be way ahead of everybody else. Therefore, you're going to be able to monetize the ad space at a higher rate. Therefore, you'll actually be able to make it work, if you will. So, but even then, there's so many bot clicks, no matter how well you drill it down, compared to demand gen ads, where you're basically not getting any bot clicks because you're on Google's properties, and Google knows how to police the bot clicks really well on their platforms. You're not going to get the same ROI opportunity as a demand gen ad. So you want to get everything out of demand gen you can before you get into display ads, usually speaking. But if you can get demand gen ads to work, display ads will work. It's just a matter of taking the same offer that works on that one channel, applying it to the other, and then narrowing down the targeting enough to get to where the meat of the customers that you need to get after is, and bidding low enough per click so that it will be affordable, given that the ad traffic's not worth the same. But if you want to make it easy on yourself, you start with the demand gen ads first because it's easier to get working. You can think of the demand gen ads like Facebook ads. Facebook ads everybody likes because you're getting mainly real viewers, not bot clicks. But the problem with Facebook ads is, A, it's really, really, really saturated now. Everybody knows about it, everybody goes for it, therefore it's not the panacea it was before. But more importantly, they've neutered all the targeting options that you used to be able to have. You used to be able to get data from Axiom or Axicom. They had a partnership with Facebook where you could target very niche audiences, that is people who likes to buy fast food and stuff like this. And now that can't do it due to the privacy debacle that happened in 2019, 2020. They also don't have access to Apple's data anymore. Most people know about that. So you can't hyper-target people as much as you used to on top of everything else, which has brought down the cost per click, but with that, anything in advertising where everybody just knows that's the go-to, that's not the go-to place anymore for the most part. And at the very least, you got to be able to work way harder to get it to work. Generally speaking, even though everybody's doing something because it works, you just do it a little bit better, you can make it work. But the demand gen ads, nobody's talking about these. So it's you're getting similar quality traffic with way, way less competition. Therefore, it's not as hard to get to work as Facebook ads. So demand gen ads are really great. They run on Google's properties exclusively, on Gmail, on YouTube. On YouTube, you'll show up on the channel homepage, in the search results, a lot of times up at the top. And that's your main placements that you're going to have. And then on Gmail, it's the first email in the list of emails that you are going to see as you open up Gmail. And with 70% of people that use email now use Gmail, you can basically get in front of every person you want to sell to. So this is like a guaranteed way to penetrate your market, if you will. Then for the people who don't use Gmail, they're going to probably use YouTube at some point in time. So it's, even though it's just two places to advertise, two websites, it's actually, there's a ton of sales you can make through it. There's a lot less click fraud with demand gen ads, as I mentioned, because Google understands how to police click fraud on their own websites, and whereas they don't know how to really police it on other websites. Even though they could police it better than they do, they really don't know how to police it completely. And I don't think they necessarily want to, because there's a lot of websites that it's mostly bot clicks, and then if all of a sudden they cleaned it up and you went from paying 50 cents a click on Forbes.com to $8 a click, because that's what's left to get, then they would have to explain that all the bot click, what you were paying for before was bot clicks. Now they got to see how this is a quagmire for them, so they're never going to ultimately fix it. And then higher ROI from demand gen ads, mainly because you're getting more real visitors, okay? So you could target the same exact people with both. So like I said, if one works, you can get the other to work with it, because an offer audience combination that works on one should work on the other. That said, the ROI is going to be harder to track. Using display ads in general, the ROI is harder to track, because most of the effect you get is people seeing the ad and then later on buying, or they'll click through and then they won't buy right away, because when's the last time you saw an ad and then instantly purchased? It typically just doesn't happen. They see it, they click through, they think it's interesting, and then they buy at some point in the future, and therefore the tracking doesn't pick very much conversion data up. So most people say it doesn't work, when really what you need to do with display ads more so is do something called conversion lift testing, where you actually are going to increase your budget in the area of display ads that you have. Then you're going to wait 90 days, and then you're going to compare your sales that 90 days in the future to your previous 90 days sales. And this is even better to do if you just do the display ads, let's say at half the country, one state, whatever, and then just see what happens to your sales at that point in time. Or compare that 90 days to the previous year's sales, where the same 3-month period the previous year if you're in a seasonal business. But the ROI is going to be harder to track for both as well. For the most part, the user behavior is going to work the same way. They're going to see the ad, they're going to click through. Rarely, sometimes they'll buy or turn into a lead right then and there. Most people aren't. And in fact, though, if you are generating leads, you could pretty much count on the conversion tracking that you have that tracks whether somebody takes an action of yours right away. With lead generation campaigns, you can actually track pretty well the amount of people clicking through and turning into a lead. When you're talking about product sales, forget about it. They're not going to buy instantly. You're not going to be able to see an ROI. You're not going to expect to see someone clicking through, buying right away. Even though if you did a conversion lift testing study, you would see for yourself, because it makes sense, right? If you're targeting the same exact people that are going to come through a Google search and make a purchase in the near future, before they make a purchase, while they're doing research, or have shown that they're in market for a product, targeting the same exact person who's going to come through Google anyway and buy a month from now, you should be able to make that work. Now you just got to influence them slightly so that when they go eventually are going to go to buy anyway. They know about you more than anybody else, therefore they're going to buy from you. That's a majority of the display advertising that we're doing for our clients that are firm, is that type. Not, hey, let's go find somebody who had no intention of buying from us, nor has no sign of buying from us. They haven't been to a competitor's site. They're not researching our market and how to buy from our market. They're not even, buying stuff that is similar to ours. We're just going to interrupt a random person and try to get them to buy. We do that sometimes, and if you have a fantastic offer, it'll work. But if you don't have something super exciting, that stuff doesn't work. You find people that have clues that look like they're going to be a customer soon. You get in with them early so that when they go to Google search you later, they're going to be 3-4 times as likely to click on your ads versus the other ads, because they look and they say, oh, I know that company. Just like and you go in the grocery store and you're trying to decide to buy between 3 or 4 different items there, and you recognize one brand, you're probably just going to go with that item because it's going to seem the most trusted. In your little micro niche, there is no quote-unquote brand per se that everybody knows, but what they do know is something that looks familiar to them, and they're going to associate that familiarity with branding. And people just, if they're not going to be cheap Charlie and just go on price, they're going to go with the brand or what they think is the brand because that seems safe. It is safe. So, but, at the end of the day, you should still go after all the low-hanging fruit in your market. That is, go after the search engine buyers, milk all you can out of that on Google and on Bing/Microsoft. Use your profit you're making from that, because that's the easy stuff to get. And then start getting into these demand gens. I implore you to think of an offer that would get someone's attention and target people that are soon to be buyers in your space. You will thank me once you start doing this, because you'll see how much it increases your potential of what sales you can make in your market, particularly just from the stuff you already got going. The search ads that you have going, the remarketing ads that try to get people back to your site, and then what you're simply doing is just feeding more people into the funnel you already have and making it more profitable. You'll make way more money that way. Then when you get that working, you can spin off 5% of your budget to getting display ads to work. And yes, it won't work right away a lot of times because you have to do some testing, but you're never going to get to the next level if you never test anything new. Because that's where people get stuck. They say, this doesn't work right away. Okay, blah, blah, blah. Let's try this. No, you got to take money and devote it towards something until you find what works, what part of it works, get rid of all the rest of the stuff, and then go to the next thing. If you collect enough data on what you're doing, it tells you exactly what to invest in and what not to invest in. And then you go to the next thing once you've got that thing dialed in. And sometimes it's so bad there is no 1% of it that works. There's 0% of it, and that's a whole separate thing. But most people give up right away, and they just want it to be easy. They want it to be... The search ads are not like the display ads where you're just going to turn it on and boom, it works. You get customers instantly. You're going to have to find the 10% of it. You're going to have to really drill down and think how to target the people that are going to be soon to be buying in your market. Think of a really good offer, and then on top of it, find the 10 or 20% of it that works. To have something that's going to reliably bring in you customers profitably day after day after day for the next 10 years. But it's worth it because you'll make an extra $100,000 a year from this campaign when it works. And then for the next 10 years, you're going to make another $1 million. So to spend a few hours to try to figure out how to tangibly do this, it's worth it every time. It just takes effort. Most people don't want to put that effort in. Your competitors are going to simply try to do something in 5 minutes, and if it doesn't work instantly, they shut it down and it doesn't work, which makes you the only one in your whole niche market who's going to go after people before they're ready to completely buy, and therefore you have huge potential in your market doing this. So anyway, with that said, I'll wrap it up with that. If you have any questions, leave me a comment below. I get back to every single person who leaves me a question or a comment on this channel, usually within 24 hours time. Beyond that, if you are looking for a place to learn from that's going to help you make millions of dollars a year from your advertising or advertising your business online, this is the channel to subscribe to, as the information you're getting on this channel comes directly from the source on somebody who personally just does the strategy on dozens upon dozens of ad accounts on an ongoing basis, running all these different campaign types that I talk about on this channel. this is unique in that most of the people that you see on YouTube are selling courses. They're not really running any ads. They're pretending like they are, they're not. Or it's maybe somebody who runs a campaign or two, but they don't run 50 of them at once to find out what works on a broad basis, what works on a limited basis, what situations it works on, what situations it doesn't, and so forth. And so the information's just, basically it's too limited, or they're getting the information from second, third, fourth hand, fifth hand situations, and second, fourth, fifth hand situations, and from secondary, third, tertiary resources. Therefore, the information is not nearly as valid as the information I'm providing you on this channel. So you should subscribe, and you should subscribe right now if you're serious about making money with ads. You're not going to find better information, I promise you, because I know these other people making content. They're not really running ads like we are here. And myself just doing the ad strategy at my firm. With that said, if you want to get extra information from myself, you can find my blog at guaranteedppc.com/blog, where you can find step-by-step information on how to be able to make more money from running ads for your business with step-by-step instructions, with screenshots. These are specific strategies I go over on my blog that help you make more money, whereas I talk on a fairly high level on this channel. You can find specific how-tos on my blog, so you should check that out as well. If you're looking for somebody to just do everything that I talk about on this channel for you and get the results on a guaranteed basis and just pay for somebody to do it for you and handle it for you, this is exactly what I do for clients at our firm. And yes, we do actually guarantee results for our clients. That is, if we can't get you an increase in profits from your ads right up front, there is no fee that we charge. And that increase in profits pays, you'll have enough profit in addition to what you have already to pay for our service, and then some before we even ask for our fee. So we're basically earning our own fee here at the beginning. No other agency out there does that, which should tell you about the quality of the services and the information I'm sharing with you on this channel, by the way. But if you want to see if we can work together, you should reach out to me at my firm at guaranteedppc.com. I'll let you know what the potential is with what you're doing, how much we can get in terms of an increase in profitability, if any, and see if we could potentially work together. We don't work with just any client because we got to know we can get great results for you up front, but at least you'll know what the potential is. As a side, if you're not looking to work with an ad agency like mine, per se, but you want to shortcut your way to success, the best way to do that, if we've worked in your niche market before, and we've worked in over 100 niche markets in the last 10 years of running Guaranteed PPC, you could take our ad templates that we have developed that get really good results in the same market that you've operated in or probably operated in, and copy and paste everything we've learned about your market that already works into your own ad accounts and get the same results we're getting or have gotten already in your market. So, and that is the ads, the campaigns, the landing page templates, all of it that gets the results that we're already getting in your market. Just literally just take the same results we're getting and get them for yourself. We'd of course be able to tell you the results that we're already getting so you could apply it to your own business and get the same results for yourself. We sell the templates for a one-time fee. These templates are actually so efficient that people can, with little business experience, pretty easily start up a new business, whether that be selling leads, which we have had several people do, or start up an e-commerce business where they're not familiar with it yet, selling an item that they can, our past client or client that we're still working with is already getting from China, but doesn't want to operate in a certain geographic area, a different country, that whatever it is open for you to sell the same type of item in a different country using the same campaign template and get the same money that they're getting in a different geographic area they don't want to touch, nor will in the future. So therefore, you could basically have turnkey profits in a business, starting with the ad template to sell an item, a known item that you can get that already works. Instead of just guessing maybe this will work, maybe it won't, you can start with something that already does work. If you're interested in any of those opportunities, you can also reach out to me at guaranteedppc.com. But with that said, I'll wrap everything up with that. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. It was educational for you, and I'll see you in the next one. See ya.